Hey guys, Dan here and Joe. It's Freaks and Geeks Friday, everybody.
It is.
Just a few left, and this is one for Noshing and Moshing. And I purposely wore. Sometimes I wear shirts
Themed.
to theme it with the episode. This was about punk rock. They actually mentioned the Clash in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And
And you
this
see a poster, I think.
yeah, and this is the most old school punk shirt that I have. I have a Rancid shirt, a bunch of Green Day shirts, but that's obviously newer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any Operation Ivy shirts or So
Ooh.
Clash is as old school as my punk shirts go. But anyway, that's going to be one of the things we talk about.
As you'd say, it's pretty classic.
Pretty classic. You're a Clash fan, right? Ooh, not so much.
I think. All right, look. This is
We're already
appropriate.
off here.
We're already
to a
trapped.
bad start.
Look, no. Here's the truth.
All right.
Okay, I listened to a greatest hits thing
Okay.
probably when I was a teenager. Because
Yeah.
I think I heard one song I liked,
Mm-hmm.
London Calling.
London Calling's a good song.
And then I just never tried them again.
Should I stay or should I go? You don't like that one?
Oh, that's them.
Yeah,
Should I
that's
stay
that-
or
that's a good
should-
song.
Okay, so I like two.
All right.
But I was, to be fair, I like a lot of punk music, but that particular era that we're talking about,
Yeah.
mixed feelings about. I'm more of a Ramones guy.
Well, and I've always felt, look, the Clash definitely started out punk, and
Got
by
poppier.
by the '80s, I think they were pretty poppy.
But a lot of
So
punk,
that's
does punk always
yes,
go
you
that
can
way?
certainly not always. I mean, there's the problem
Black
is
Flag or something.
the bands that don't
Stay
you
pretty.
don't really hear about.
hardcore.
Bouncing Souls and a lot of the Anti-Flag, and
Anti-Flag's a good
stuff
one.
like that
Yeah.
doesn't really break through, so you don't know them as much as you would Green Day or The Offspring or
Look,
some of those.
I'm a Rise Against guy myself, so
I like Rise Against
but
is
that's
good.
like barely punk though.
Yeah, I
so
think that's more.
it-
It's not quite pop
it's
punk,
just-
but it's something.
it's rock. I don't
It's
know.
rock, yeah, hard rock.
So, but I
Um,
appreciate the shirt nonetheless.
Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so let's actually talk about the show.
Finally,
Freaks
we're
and
already
Geeks.
2 minutes deep in off the rails.
All right, so here is the program. This is an interesting one because this is really the first episode we've gotten where the Weird Children are not front and center.
You know what?
Neither of these storylines is
Anything really?
even remotely about them.
No, incorrect. Incorrect.
Lindsay's
got a
Lindsay's
bit,
a little bit
actually,
with,
a little bit,
which
a
we'll
little
talk about. You're
Lindsay a
right.
bit,
Lindsay a little bit.
but not really.
No. I think if there's two A stories, the Lindsay is like a C story.
Correct.
And then Sam, nothing. I mean, he's in it. He shows up.
Sam is. You could have removed him. Does not matter.
Wouldn't have mattered for the episode.
Wow, Sam. Sorry.
You could have kenned him. And
Ken has more to do. He had some
Ken
good lines.
actually has
Had some
more
good
to do here.
scenes. That's wow.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd see the day.
So yeah, very interesting. So this is an interesting one.
Actually, I want to ask you
and
something.
also, okay, hold on.
Okay.
Keep that thought because the other thing that makes this unique is it's the only one we've seen with a previously on
Yes.
at the beginning.
That's what I wanted to ask you about.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Because I don't remember exactly, but I think in one of the previous episodes you said that the dentist storyline with Neil they dropped. We never hear about it again, but that's why I was shocked about this episode because this is the
very
direct
much
sequel.
about it, yes.
So I was like, did you forget or were you?
You
messing
know,
with me?
no, I actually did forget. These later episodes, I have not seen nearly as many
'Cause they weren't on.
as much. They weren't on TV. Number one and number two. Part of the reason I've seen the first half so much is because we would run them at Hollywood Video when I was bored and I was working by myself. I would put on a Freaks and Geeks. But some of the later episodes get a little too sexy, and like the Virgin episode, and da 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 da. So I mainly
Yeah.
only watched those first two discs.
Gotcha.
So the first 8 episodes I know very well, but I honestly forgot that this came back,
I'm glad
and
you
this
did,
wasn't aired
because it was a surprise
when it first came on. So yeah, big surprise. But what's interesting is they didn't really need to do the previously on
No,
because they tell the story pretty easily
without
because basically when we'll get into the specifics obviously, but when Neil gets called into the guidance counselor's office, he basically reveals all that stuff anyway. My dad's cheating on me, da 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 da. So I don't know that we needed the refresher.
I mean,
But whatever.
You know what? Thinking about it, if this was going to be released, which it wasn't initially, maybe some people would have
Might
forgotten
have been
months
nice.
later.
I guess that's true.
It's not the worst thing. A lot of show. It's
I don't
I'm not gonna
mind
fault
it.
him
I don't
for
mind it previously on. I just think it's odd that They didn't do that for...
The other one.
Here's what it would have been great to have it previously on. The
Kim
episode
Kelly.
they didn't run, right.
Yeah.
The Kim Kelly episode that literally changed
her dad tries to
the
murder
dynamic
of
the whole friendship, and yet, you know...
This is also a very good Kim Kelly episode in a very subtle way.
Yes, she's not even in it that much, but she has...
A great scene or two.
Great scene, certainly at the end.
That's probably one of the... You know what?
Oof, that was a killer scene, man.
You know what, man?
Tell me.
Maybe I won't spoil it.
Okay.
Maybe I won't spoil
Let's
it.
get into it then. So Noshing is first. Let's talk about that. I think the Sam story, even though we start out...
You mean the Neil?
I'm sorry.
The nonsense.
I always try to call him Sam because his real name is Sam Levine.
Levine, yeah.
The Neil character. But even though we start out in the convenience store with the freaks, I feel like the Noshing part comes first in the title.
Correct.
Let's talk about and we're already talking about the cheating.
Yeah.
So
yeah, basically,
let's talk about the Neil story.
I'm glad because when you said that this one that storyline was just going to be unresolved forever, I was like, well, I
forgot.
That's kind of a downer, bummer. No, it kind of sort of gets resolved.
Yeah,
thematically at least, and basically, we follow up. Neil knows that his dad's cheating and on his mom, and is still dealing with that. And
grades are slipping.
He's kind of starting to mess with other bullies to kind of almost pick fights. He's getting a little more daring, getting into trouble.
And he's
clearly
really
channeling
clung to this dummy.
Which he calls by the way, it's a dummy. Ventriloquist dummy. Who
the
calls it
ventriloquist dummy? Right.
I've never heard a figure. Is that actual technical?
No, I don't think it's called.
He's just insecure. He's insecure.
Yeah.
But basically, he's getting to his ventriloquist act, and he's clearly, using this dummy as a means to, distract himself, deal with his issues,
and everyone
which
hates
is a theme which coincides, dovetails per se with Daniel's in an interesting way.
Yes,
so
I think this one is a very connected.
This is very connected, and him dealing with that, and basically, it's getting on people's nerves. Bill and Sam don't think it's funny.
Hate it, and are embarrassed.
They're embarrassed, and he doesn't really know what to do. He talks to the guidance counselor, like you said, and his brother actually comes home. His older brother comes home from college.
Yeah, which by the way. So
I know him.
Well, you know him. How do you know him? Is he in one of the Superman somethings?
I saw him and I was like, I wonder if Dan's going to figure out how I know him. He has been in some interesting movies. Okay. How do I know him? Could you guess? Because I didn't recognize him. I know him from something.
I didn't look up his filmography because I know how I know him already.
Well, you tell him how you know him.
Well, okay. I know him from a couple of sitcoms that he did over the years. But what I thought was interesting is because this is one of the episodes that I do forget about. I've probably only seen it 3 or 4 times in the 20 years it's been out.
Okay.
But he appears in This Is the End, in the scene where they're all going in the hole and Kevin Hart dies at the beginning when the earthquake hits.
Makes sense.
And I was always like, David Krumholtz, how do they know him?
He's Superbad too.
And I don't, I've only seen Superbad like twice.
I've seen it
It's
once.
been a long time.
I just looked it up.
But okay.
He's
so
on
that makes
their
sense.
crowd,
So
I guess.
he's part of their crowd, but he was also in an episode or maybe more of Undeclared, which was the Apatow Feig show.
Which they reference in this when he talks about being an undeclared major when everyone's about college.
I wonder if it's the same. It can't be the same character. I guess maybe it could.
But I was thinking, this is the brain of going to college and it's so much better. It's almost like a soft sequel thematic to Undeclared.
I guess it can't be the same universe because Seth Rogen and Jason Segel are both in that, but not playing.
Isn't it like in the early 2000s though? Is supposed to take place?
You know what? Yes, I think it took place when it aired. So
like 2002 or something.
So it's not the same show, but okay.
But they say Undeclared.
That's how. So that's how David Krumholtz is in the Apatow fold with Rogen and Franco.
Company.
But I didn't really know that when This Is the End came out. But how do you know? What superhero thing did he do?
Not a superhero thing at all.
Horror.
Not even close.
Walking Dead. You don't like Walking Dead.
Getting further.
Getting further, okay.
It's a classic me. And we were talking about it very recently.
Was he in RoboCop? Hold on. We talk about things all the time. All right, hold on.
You're not going to get it.
All right.
We're going to give one more guess. We can't make them wait all the time. This is fun.
Something with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
He was in Escape Plan 2 or something. Okay, tell me.
He was the head elf Bernard in the Santa Claus.
Oh, we're going to watch that this week.
You really want to tell them that you're responsible for killing Christmas, Santa?
I wish I saw that.
That was out, and I just like,
all right, we're going to watch that in 2 or
So-
tomorrow. I think we're gonna watch it.
Something like that.
Okay.
So
Darn
that is Bernard comes back. Okay. It's
Okay.
like great little role.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. So he plays the brother,
Yes, the older brother.
Barry
And
Barry Schreiber.
Neil is having some issues, obviously dealing with this, and he kind of confesses to somebody, his brother, hey, I just found out, Dad's cheating on Mom, and his brother's like, I know,
He knew.
I've known about it, didn't tell you. Well, what do you want
Yeah.
to do? Like get them? He says, what do you get them to have a divorce, have their
Well,
life
and,
ruined?
okay, we got to talk. Well, I guess
it's
we'll
kind
finish
of
the
a
synopsis and then we'll talk about the scene. But
But that was a very that was a very interesting scene.
yes,
But
very interesting.
basically, Neil, that doesn't really help him very
Doesn't help
much.
him.
Puts more pressure. He puts on the act at a party, which, by the way, the Weirs come to, and Dad loves it.
The whole
He's
thing
drunk.
leading up to
Oh, that was
this
great.
whole thing is
The party.
The party. They're having an annual party that Mr. Weir thinks is just gross
Bull.
anyway because
He's a dentist.
He's a dentist and he just invites his
Dental jokes, his
clients there, and then he tells dental jokes all night.
Oh my goodness! And he's drunk.
And he gets so drunk. Like, do you notice how he gives the keys to the wife as soon as they get there because he knows he's like I have to get wasted
to get through this.
Yeah. And then Lindsay. Well,
that's sort of another
all right.
sub.
I guess it's sort of another sub.
That's why I want to keep that separate.
Lindsay, I guess, does have a little bit to do with her. Sam, nothing.
But no, Sam is
Knock him
taken
out of
out.
this whole episode.
He's gone.
Bill too, really.
Bill has a couple lines, but
I mean, it's interesting that
All
they
right,
are annoyed at the dummy.
Look,
but other than that,
I appreciated that
you could have Gordon in the sub in for that.
He didn't like the dummy. Knew it was getting evil. They've got a reference to magic, which I've never seen, but I want to see now because it looks cool. And how they saw that instead of Grease. 78, I checked, they were right.
Of course.
A lot of little references.
Steve Martin poster.
Yeah. Talk about Ronald Reagan, Hinckley.
Right. Okay.
Like reading a Ronald Reagan magazine. I love the accuracy. Love
Always
it.
accurate.
1980.
Yes. Yep.
I also love. Basically, he
it
does
was right after Reagan got shot, I guess.
He does the
magazine cover.
The bit, and he starts kind of taking pot shots more at his dad. And the dad kind of like gets
at the party.
At the party,
the dad like encourages him, like, "Oh,
you should do it.
Do your act,"
even though he doesn't want to do it. And so this is kind of a weird way of him to get not so weird, direct way
get
manifests. Back at his dad, and it comes out
right.
Goes back hiding, and Mom actually comes in, and he confesses to her. He's like, you know what, I have to do it. Good old Neil, crying, emotional scene. Like, all right, here's my spoiler. There are two moments where I got a little teary, like with Bill. Like, I got teary, like, one time. Okay. With him. This episode got me teary twice, dude. Like, the part where Neil's confessing to his mom, like, that got me. Mm-hmm. That really got me. And then there's another scene that gets me. Maybe more. But
is that right?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But this was a very, touching, upsetting scene. And she's like, hey, I know about it. Whatever. And I'm like, oh, man, she knows. Mm-hmm. And explains marriage is complicated. We still love you. And so it's like... What an interesting...
There's so much to talk
incredibly
about.
See, I was... All right, here's the thing, Dan.
Tell me.
I was thinking, this won't be so long. But, like,
they're always long.
But, like...
It's too much to discuss.
Such a realistic, complicated way to end that little storyline.
Right.
Like, oh, man. But you know what I will say? And all right, we got to get to this now. We'll come back.
Okay.
We got that...
Keep it in your mind, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get the B plot, C plot.
I think they're both. Oh, the C plot with Lindsay.
C plot.
I guess we could talk about that.
There's a plot that's not quite as important with her. She's got a crush on Barry.
Well, okay, so even before that, she's having problems at school. She's got detention.
Oh well, okay. Okay. By the way, she decides to just stand up for this one girl who's getting hassled by, I guess, her boy.
We don't know. It's not established.
Not established. But by the way,
clearly
he came back. He was like in the first episode, that big guy.
Yeah.
And they brought him back.
Yeah.
And that
Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
He's in the movie Varsity Blues. That's the only place I know him from. Big fat dude from Varsity Blues.
That guy. And he was like messing with her, and she just punches him to basically stop.
Right. And then she gets in trouble.
He gets in detention. She gets in detention. They together. And she just is like, oh, this is stupid. I can't do homework here. And she has a hard time with the guy.
That was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
I have not had detention much, maybe once or twice, but
look,
you could do homework in there.
No, I had detention
point of it.
A couple times. It's like, that was asinine. I'm like, you do
that
homework.
Was so stupid.
You could read, like, you have to be here, but be honest, detention wasn't that bad.
No, detention's fine. Like, whatever. You play games, whatever. But, like...
You just have to be here, whatever.
He just wanted everybody to look at the wall or something. Like, you couldn't do homework.
Has a good point, like, a little commentary about her frustration with the school system. Like, they're just manufacturing idiots. And I'm like, it's a good...
She was like, so so these guys got in trouble for, like, not doing homework, and then you don't let them do homework, and it's school.
You could say that the thematic aesthetic of this episode is very punk rock. Like, that's system, man.
Well, look, it is. All three of these plots
got a high school system,
have to do
liberation.
Have to do with fighting the man or
a
fighting
norm, societal constraint.
Yes,
like we're challenging marriage, we're challenging school, we're challenging. What else are we challenging?
The government.
With
Daniel.
Like we're challenging everything. Preconceptions. Correct. Yeah, we're just jumping in.
So Lindsay decides to go to this party because she's trying to make her parents not know she's in detention, so she wants to be seen as a good girl. That old classic. But she, of course, knows Barry, Neil's brother, because they went to the same school, and he's only a year ahead. I liked when he mouthed off to the
math teacher?
That douche math teacher. And then
I don't know.
He thinks he's a student, so he's
going to the principal's office.
The guy mouths off to him, and he's just like, "What? Get to class!" And he's like, "I don't even go here."
Well, get out of here! I hate it when they come back.
That was a great scene.
That was good.
But yeah. So anyway, so he maybe has kind of a thing for Lindsay.
Yes.
No, did he know that Neil did? They kind of talked about how Neil's been spending more time with her, and like he was like, "Oh, believe me, I'm trying." Did Barry really understand?
No,
what that was? I didn't think so.
It's difficult because they could have easily played that a different way, and I think that could have been a whole different episode.
Right.
But they decided to go a different direction with it. I think that when he sees them like kissing, I think Neil is probably a little hurt that the girl he has a crush on likes his brother. But I think it was more. I think it was.
Yeah. So at the party, he leaves the party.
I don't want to dissect it yet.
Okay.
But basically, he might have been jealous, but he was also that made him think of something else. Relating to his dad.
His mom. Okay.
So we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So basically, after him and his mom have the conversation, he like needs to go away, get some fresh air. So he goes out, going for a little walk, and sees them at the end of the lane kissing, and not great.
Not great. So not great for Neil, but Neil kind of ends up feeling sort of okay about things at the end.
Yeah, at the end we have a nice little sort of cathartic moment for him. He's of like, looking at the dummy in the corner and laughing.
Like, I like my dummy. He feels good about his shtick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like he seems okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be some
residual
effects, underlying issues for a long time to come.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get into then the noshing part, or the moshing part, I should say, that is the noshing part. Let's dissect this.
Oh, we're doing
portion. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think we usually do that for each section, right? Before we move on.
I guess we do.
I feel like we do.
Who knows?
So okay. So I guess starting from the beginning, yes, we got the dummy. Did you like the dummy bit?
Yeah, I did like the dummy bit. I actually thought it was pretty good. I really liked when he did classic. What is
all right? The Marcel, not Marcel.
No, it's
Senior Wences.
No. Well, yeah, you're out of order this entire time.
Oh, yep,
out of order.
Did that, yeah.
Did the Pacino from that year, which was accurate.
Very accurate.
That was good. That was
at the party.
That was at the party.
But yeah, I mean, even before that, when he was at school, doing it to the bully.
Yeah, it was kind of
good,
funny.
Right?
I think there was some good insight. His frustrations.
I would be embarrassed by that, though.
All right,
for sure.
Yeah, I would be.
If I was Bill.
His friends were embarrassed for sure. It is a little weird, but
very weird.
It's very weird. But you know what? Neil likes to experiment with different comedies, so.
Yeah, but I feel like it's unlike Neil to mouth off to the teachers.
It's also
and that kind of thing.
Also, Neil. Well, I don't know.
But obviously, he's going through a lot emotionally and lashing out.
With his comedy, though, he has always felt most confident that that's like his thing. He knows it very well.
Yes.
So I could see him flaunting that.
Big comedian.
He knows he's the big comedian. How did you feel about the scene where he talks to the guidance counselor, bares his soul, and then it cuts and we never see what the guidance counselor says?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I was like...
You hated it.
I thought it was weird. Of all the cuts, it's definitely one of my least favorite because it was a weird bit.
Well,
because he was sick. Like what is this gag? Like he's got a bug.
The gag was he was sick in real life.
That's what I thought. And he couldn't,
So
and he couldn't complete the scene.
So they played it off that, whatever.
Okay, that was weak. Reshoot it the next... Because, I mean, I get it. He's like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to say, but, you could have had a line or two, something. Because, we don't know if he got anything out of it.
But look, no, I think he probably didn't. It's Rosso. He probably got a pamphlet. You know what I mean? Here's why... Okay, I
was an
didn't...
awkward ending
it
of
might
the
have been
scene.
awkward. I didn't dislike it as much as you, though. I feel like... Look, Rosso was all set to sort of bring the hammer down and, look, da-da-da-da-da, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then he gets this bomb dropped on him that's this kid is going through all this stuff. And I don't... My take on that scene ending was Rosso didn't have an immediate answer for him.
You're probably right. But I know that... Well, I'm not sure how it would have been back then. But I know that guidance counselors deal with those sort of things all the time. And
Sure.
have kids in a lot. And
Sure.
I can speak from experience. I was talking to my guidance counselor a lot when my parents got divorced. So
Okay.
I know they've
So
got
it
pamphlets,
happens.
but there's more that he could have done. Maybe he wasn't ready right then.
Right.
I mostly just didn't like the way it ended.
Okay,
There was
that's
no.
fair.
It was a little scene that had no resolution, which bugged me a little
Okay.
bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
All right.
I did.
Then the brother comes in.
The brother comes in, and I kind of thought that he was an interesting character.
I like their dynamic.
I liked him a lot. I liked his dynamic with Neil.
How about when he said dad cheating on mom, and he's like, I know. I loved that scene.
I thought it was very believable.
Very believable.
But I'll tell you what I liked about it more. I liked that Neil didn't want to do what his brother did, and decided to actually tell his mom.
Decided to tell them.
Even though to rock the boat, yes, he felt all the pressure, but he just
Right.
couldn't live with it. He felt like he had to do it, because he felt like he owed it to his mom. And I
Right.
really thought that was a great moment for him.
Well, because here's the thing. Everyone
Everyone's like,
around
whatever.
him, right, is saying it's no big deal. Don't
It is a
worry
big
about
deal.
it. Da 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 da. And
Everyone's dismissing it.
everyone's dismissing it, and it's crushing defeat.
Yeah.
For Neil and his life. I mean, it's crumbling down. Sam, of course, has the
perfect
family, and then Bill doesn't even know his dad, so he doesn't know the difference.
Really yeah.
But
yeah.
I think his brother telling him it's no big deal. I already knew. I think that was the last straw of okay, and obviously his dad keeps going on and on about they
Pushing
have the
it,
dinner
there's
together.
no problems.
You're my
a good little guy.
Yeah,
great comedian.
But to the mom too at the dinner where it's you're my number one and da 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 da, and Neil's just
this facade.
biting his tongue and boiling anger.
You can't keep that hidden for so long.
Right.
That's just guidance counsel's right. You can't do that. You say it's fine, and sometimes it's not fine. And
Right.
he's right. He tells him, and he's like, "Wow,
See, he
that's
does
really
tell
not
him
fine."
that.
He does.
Ah!
That's what I'm saying. It is actually.
You forgot.
That line is thematically connected to Neil's whole
Yes.
thing. It's
Yes.
great advice.
Yeah.
I admit it's a good scene. I just didn't like
All
the way it
right.
ended. But the thing is, I thought was really interesting was also the boiling point is that when he sees his brother making out with Lindsay,
Yeah.
I think obviously, sure, there's probably a little jealousy or disappointment there, but he knows his dad's a womanizer. He's been cheating
Right.
for a long time. He's thinking, wait, is my brother doing this? Does he care about
Okay.
Lindsay?
Right.
Is this
because he does care about
and,
Lindsay?
and his brother just says, "I don't worry about it. Just your parents can cheat on each other, no big deal, whatever." And am I going to be like my brother? Am I going to be the same?
Okay,
Remember
right.
all these conversations with his friends
Yes.
about marriage and love and what does it mean? Thematic to the other part of the episode about and he's like, I got to do something about it. I got to voice it.
Right.
And I thought that was great. I thought he was
Very
just like, I got to try something different.
Very good.
And to be honest, I think, I don't know, I think in a weird way, his mom telling him could have very easily broken him.
Yeah.
Which,
But no, because here's the thing.
it's weird.
He went into that
thinking, "Oh man, I'm ruining her life."
Right.
I don't want to ruin your life.
Went into that.
I don't want
to ruin your life. I thought
that broke my heart a little.
Oh my God, just the phrasing of that.
Like I'm gonna ruin. Like I'm gonna be the one responsible.
Right.
Like,
I'm gonna break
because I
this
just
news
can't.
to you.
I just can't hold it. It's got to be my fault. He takes it all on him.
Yeah.
Which
makes complete sense.
Divorce kid,
Makes
children divorce.
Complete sense.
It's somehow always their fault.
Right.
Take a lot on it, and it's a very real thing.
Yeah.
And I feel
sure.
so bad for him.
And so when she comes back with marriage is hard, and he's like, oh my God, like she knew, like that.
Wow.
Really, but I think the fact that she was
very
caring
and
yeah,
cared about him, and she says,
caring, yeah,
no matter what,
collected.
we both love you, and you can count on that. That's
Mm-hmm.
true, which is an important thing to say, and I think that at least hit home. Like his parents do love him, and they're trying to make it work on some level because of that.
Right,
and that is definitely something.
Well, and right, I really think that reaction from her caused him to just have this sort of
relief.
Yeah, like the dam broke.
Like at least
he's like, okay,
it didn't all crumble.
It's right
because it's out. Like it's in a weird way. It's like that was the big thing that like thinking there was a secret. And I guess Barry didn't know either because he never told her.
Never knew.
So he's perpetrating this lie, thinking it is. But no, in a weird way, Neil's closer to his mom now because he knows that no, she's there. It's not a secret.
Right.
The dad. It's not a secret.
And to her, like you said, now their bond is that much more because she's like, well, like he really cares about me. That he's been carrying this weight around, and he wanted to let me know, even though it might rip my life apart. He respected me enough to do that. I mean, that's some heavy themes in this episode.
That's a heavy thing, and I think a lot of kids couldn't do it.
Yeah, clearly his brother didn't.
And that's the thing. And I felt the way he handled it was also realistic. Kind of like, being set back from being like, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin their life, get them divorced. Like, I
don't know what I would ever do in that situation.
I don't really know either, honestly, because I was kind of young when that sort of stuff happened. But I could imagine, like, knowing about it, that sort of thing, and thinking that could be a possibility if you said something.
Right.
Yeah, a kid would not know what to do. Your parents are supposed to know better, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know. It would be a tough spot to be in. So both responses that were totally plausible.
Yeah.
Totally plausible.
What else about that? That whole half. Very intense.
Very intense.
The party was great.
Intense drama.
Great comedy with Mr. Weir.
I loved Mr. Weir's comedy. I like the fact that
his just his smiley, dopey face,
like in the background,
so drunk the whole time.
He loved all the dental humor. And by the end,
oh my God,
when everybody else is getting uncomfortable, he's still loving it. Like
he's still laughing.
Love that kid. He's great. The mom got a little tipsy because she gives Lindsay the car keys, and she knows that she's got a thing for Barry, so she's like, "Oh, you take your time,
She can see it.
Like she doesn't care.
Yeah,
like she's whatever. I get it.
Well, they didn't want to go to. Well, he didn't want to go. She really didn't want to go either, though. But she was just like, "We have to. We have to keep up appearances."
She was okay with it.
She was all right with it, but I think
it's an obligation.
It's an obligation. So
like how he considers. Lindsay tries to get out. Like, well, I'll just go to a different dentist. Like, that's a great idea. And we should get out of it just to get out of this.
Another classic line.
He was great in this. Like, I wish I wish there was more of the dad in this one. But the fact that he just was
perfect.
He got wasted and was just loving his son dig at the dentist was just great. Lindsay's plot.
All right, so let's talk about the punk rock part, the moshing. Of it all.
Where there's less dummies and more just punks.
More punks.
Let's start off in the liquor store.
So I told you this was going to be a Daniel-heavy episode last week.
Well, look, Dan, I'm mad about it.
Mad because it now gives you new... Every time there's a Daniel-heavy episode, which there's only been a couple, Joe gets a brand new lease on life here on Daniel Desario. And what exactly he's going to mean here.
I'm angry. because
it made you
look,
care about
I know it's Freaks and Geeks.
and feel bad about him.
Can't we just have one episode where one guy's bad?
You know
he's
you
always
can't.
bad. He's one-dimensional.
You know you can't.
Like, I just...
You know
like, now I like Daniel. Like, I actually
Yes.
like him.
Yes.
Damn it.
Who doesn't? At this point.
Look,
So it starts out in the convenience store.
It's all facade, Dan.
I know.
It's all joke.
They see this girl that used to go to school but dropped out.
Hot,
Big punker.
gothy
And,
chick.
yes.
Yeah.
Got the crazy hair and the lipstick and the.
Her hair is intense. Like, it's some
I know.
straight, like...
I am jealous
like,
of that.
I was like, that is impressive
I used
punk
to have
hair.
I used to have my little spikes, but I've always wanted to do like
that, like...
some kind of really cool do
You
like
have
that.
to, I guess, grow your hair out really long and then get it, like, what
Yes.
kind of gel... Like,
Well,
he puts
and as
eggs
we
to
see,
make
he
his.
put eggs in it, which used to be a pretty popular thing.
Because he
Yeah,
does look like the classic, that look,
as
the curled...
as always, it's
Accurate.
to the time.
Because I'm like, is that how they do that? I
Yeah.
never knew.
I actually didn't know a lot about that either, but in the commentary they talked about it.
That's, I want to say that's metal, but that's very punk.
Very
It's
punk.
very punk.
Very
and
punk.
and honestly, from my general knowledge of it, the whole aesthetic seems of the 70s, 80s punk,
Yeah.
hardcore.
Well,
this
okay.
is very,
So,
like...
I guess
Oh.
before we get into the themes then of the episode, I'll tell you what I know about the music and
wait,
whatnot.
Before, I wanted to ask you specifically,
Yeah.
because everything else is punk, what is the track that Bill's dancing to that's sexy but not sexy? He had a great scene. It sounds like techno, like early techno. What is that?
I don't remember. Hold on.
I was like, this is straight electronica. What is this? This is 1980. Like, what is that?
Yeah, it's like new wave something.
It's like-
I don't
like-
remember.
I don't know what that is.
specifically it was.
So it is a thing, though.
It was a real song.
Which is like,
yeah.
it sounds like, I liked it.
Yeah,
but
it was a real song.
It's the most
I
fun
forget what it
80s thing
was,
I've heard.
though.
It's like, it was like techno. I don't know what it was.
It was it was like new wave.
New wave electro
something.
something. What's the... But there's
Probably maybe like Joy Division or something. I don't remember the scene, but
Okay.
but the stuff about the punk stuff.
Yeah.
So first of all, okay, well, what else did I learn in the commentary about Neil? Hold on, that was ripped out of Apatow's life with the divorced parents and all of that. And
Gotcha.
he found out about his mom.
Classic,
Okay.
classic.
Classic again. So the whole punk theme, they were sort of trepidations about because
Hardcore.
well, they don't really accurately reflect punk and the lifestyle on television very often, especially in these types of shows, because it's
drugs and sex and
drugs,
violence,
sex,
anti-authority,
anti-establishment, and that
burning
kind of
stuff
stuff.
down.
Number one. Number two, this show is all about
Family values.
the authentic music.
Yeah.
The great music, the authentic music, and guess what? A lot of punk rockers
mother effer.
not that their language, they're punks. They don't want you want to run my song on an NBC show on a Saturday night? F off, so they really fought the one song Rise Above that Desario is listening to is not the original
It's a cover.
cut. They had the music coordinator of the show had a sound alike redo it.
Wow.
Because they were allowed, I guess, permissions for the song itself, but they weren't allowed the actual recording. So that was a big problem. So the band that's on stage is actually made up of like a crew member and his band or whatever, just like kind of noodling around because they were finding it hard to get actual punk people.
That would be, if you wanted to represent the actual true punk scene, it's a lot of underground,
right?
Not very mainstream.
Right.
Like they're like, no, screw, we really don't want a major label.
And we kind of joked when we watched The O.C. about how Misha Barton was like, oh yeah, like the Clash and the Sex Pistols. It's like all the
stuff,
normal bands.
And that was one of my favorite scenes. All right, that was one of my favorite scenes in this episode because it was so cool to see Daniel like kind of on his guard because him and Tim Kelly break up.
Yes.
Yeah, they break up. They actually for real.
For real.
And he's like crushing on the punk girl.
Yeah.
And so he's like, hey, like I like punk, I like all like the Clash,
Yeah, I like
Ramones,
Clash.
Big Whistle, and she's like,
And she
"Oh, yeah,
starts
all the obvious ones."
right.
Yeah.
She starts naming
Like, oh, really?
the really underground bands. But yeah, so the music actually was a real problem in this episode
But I
because they
liked,
wanted it to be authentic.
But I actually really liked the band that they.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were fine.
It sounded like genuine old school punk to me.
Yeah,
and I was like, wow, I'm surprised. It's pretty hardcore for Freaks and Geeks.
it is.
To be honest,
yes, it is.
Like the whole scene.
It's more like Green Room. Actually,
it actually reminded me a lot of like because
Yeah.
the intensity, and he gets like punched and kicked, moshed,
Yeah,
and thrown
there's
down
a
like
lot, right,
and,
a
like,
lot of
and
stuff
it
goes
was
down.
dark and seedy and like smoky. And
They kind of want to pierce his.
they try to pierce his nose because he wants to impress
lot of stuff.
the girl to be cool, and it's like this feels like a genuine punk venue,
Yeah,
like hardcore, like
yeah.
which is
And,
funny because Nick and Ken don't really want to
oh
go.
my god, no! And they don't do anything to change their appearance. They just show up as they
And
are.
I love Nick too because I know Nick and Ken like have very little, but they're all like, no, like what are you doing?
Right,
Like
right.
what you're trying to clearly, do this to obviously bounce back once again, hide behind an issue.
Right,
Like
right.
with the dummy, he's hiding behind the punk facade. I'm telling you,
Yes,
it was cool.
they're definitely blending.
But Nick was like, man, like throughout the whole thing, man, like let's get out of here. Like what are you doing? Let's go.
Yeah.
Nick is not having this at all.
Okay, was this in the real episode or was this in the deleted scenes where Nick keeps making fun of the music? It's before they go to the club. It's like when they're picking him up. He keeps making fun of the music, and Daniel makes some comment about, oh yeah, nothing like the brilliant Lady L. Was that in this episode? Or?
That's a deleted
Okay,
scene.
that was in a deleted scene, and maybe it was. It was probably
They should
a
have
rip.
kept that.
It was probably an ad lib, but
Not as good as the Lady L.
I mean, callback. Like, what a great.
But people wouldn't have seen it, so they wouldn't know what he was talking
Right.
about.
Yeah, very
They should
true.
have kept it.
Um,
Ken loves it by the end.
Yeah, Ken's all about it. Look, Ken doesn't care.
That's the
He
thing,
just
though.
goes
Ken
where the
just-
action is. He
Ken's
doesn't
like-
care about anything really.
Yeah.
But look,
Oh.
Daniel has been trying.
Wait, I got before
Tell
we
me.
talk with Daniel, I will say Ken has one great line.
Okay.
It's a great line where Nick's, of course, still not over Lindsay.
Right.
He's like,
Classic.
well, hey, look, maybe some of the punk chicks will go, be with you. They'll blow your chances because they hate themselves. And it's like,
Yes.
good one, man, real funny. And then he punches.
Yeah.
That was pretty good bit.
That was good. That was good. But the
Daniel?
thing about Daniel is he, obviously, the last 4 or 5 episodes has really.
We're opening up about Daniel.
Well, he's been
Thinking about his life.
He's been taking stock, I think, of
Situation.
what he wants out of his future, what his life has become. And we see early on in this episode his home life
Sucks.
and the mother who basically
Enabling
is demanding that he go get this medicine for his dad. And he's like,
is crippled or something.
I'm trying to go to school. Like, what? And she's like, well, you need to get it, da-da-da-da-da.
It's called a Wednesday.
And it's kind of the reason they break up because he misses the first half of school. Kim Kelly's
Notes.
waiting for these notes for this test that she ended up then not doing
and then
well in.
right after him, like, getting railed by his mom, verbally.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what? You're just not so unreliable. And that's what he's like, you know what? F you. You're
Right.
reliable being a B.
Right.
And so, like, that's it. Because, that's like the last straw.
Well,
basically.
because it's this woman telling him,
This,
you're worthless, you're
after
nothing.
your mom, basically, is you're not
this
helping.
woman saying you don't help out. What are you doing?
And also,
miss school.
little insight. Oh,
for
well,
the
why
family.
can't the brother help? Oh, will I trust him with those pain pills again? Brother's got some drug addiction.
Right, yes,
Or his
we
older
do.
brother.
It's
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 so-
a line they just kind of threw in there,
And I'm
but
like,
it says
ooh.
so much about the family.
And I like that one little. We don't even see the dad. Like, we don't know every detail, but
No,
we can gauge
we know
so much.
enough.
Like, and we see him pain like this. Like, he wants to be there, but he wants to get away.
Right.
He's torn. Daniel's whole facade is like, man, I just gotta pretend like I don't care. I'm cool.
And
But
now you love
he's
him.
got so much.
So many issues at home.
Why do we like them more when they have issues? What is up with that? What is up with?
Well, it
the
makes it more
humans?
sympathetic. I mean,
It's true.
right?
So it's just.
Other than just they're the I mean, now aren't they? Doesn't their relationship make so much sense?
Yeah.
Daniel and
Because they
Busy
have
Phillips?
very similar families.
Very similar families.
But yeah, basically,
Completely toxic.
we kind of jumped around, but basically his
Yeah,
whole thing
alright,
is
anyway, so
he
he
tries
goes
to
to the
become
club.
punk, pretend to be punk, gets the egg in the hair to spike his hair, and pretends like all these bands to impress this girl. Girl's making out with somebody, and he's like, oh, this was all for naught.
Right.
Goes back to Kim Kelly, and They embrace.
Ugh.
And she just looks so like sad
No
for him, and
words.
just comes in and she's crying, and the close up, and I'm just like, wow, that warmth, and you see their connection.
Yeah.
She cares for him, and like.
But here's what I think. I think she was already crying.
No.
I think she's been crying all night because
She misses him.
she misses him and she can't get a hold of him. She doesn't know where he is. He's not home. Da 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 da. Before cell phones, obviously. So I think he shows up, and again, much like Neil, with the weight lifted when his mom says, "I know it's okay." Da 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 da. This is
Kind of the other side. Of that.
this is the other side of that, and Daniel coming back to her basically, and whatever. And obviously, they're a very toxic couple.
They have their issues.
But when you know their family life, how could they not?
You understand how they gravitate.
It's almost impossible for them in high school to have
the yelling and the
normal,
the aggressive
healthy
kind of
relationship.
It's like, yeah, it's where they get it from.
Right.
But that's kind of how they connect. So it does kind of make sense.
Yeah, very
Makes
much.
a lot more sense, actually.
Yeah.
The whole interweaving theme of romance between Neil's parents and that issue with Lindsay and Neil's brother to Daniel and Kim, the music's overlay with that, as they all intersected, that's clearly the throngs of love, I suppose, seem to be a big element of this episode too.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just a lot going on that's just jumping around.
Well, look, I think
There's a lot
the
going on.
theme of this episode is
You can narrow it down.
love is complicated.
That is accurate.
I mean, all three
And
of
messy.
the people very yes, love
Like
is
this episode.
messy. Yes,
A little bit.
love is eggs in your hair, and
Yes. And you'll put eggs in your hair to do it, and it won't always work.
yeah.
Then you bounce back.
I think those are all correct.
Relevant. Yeah. Those love is
I think those are all very accurate.
a lot of love is complicated,
Yeah, it's complicated.
messy, interesting thing. And that's kind of this episode.
Yeah,
Oddly, I guess love is just noshing and moshing.
Noshing and Moshing, classic.
Oh, by the way,
Um,
that is interesting. That is kind of the theme of this episode, which doesn't
Yeah.
seem like it would. It doesn't stand out as advertised.
Well,
but,
no,
but
and
it's clearly interwoven.
It's also, another classic sort of Freaks and Geeks. Love is complicated. Love is messy. That's the easiest go to ever.
True.
And yet we've made it
It's,
now a 40-minute discussion because
they
of the
they
layers of the
explore it
episode.
in so many different ways. So
Yeah.
I do have a bone to pick with the episode.
Okay, can't wait. Other than the ending of the scene with Rosso,
To be honest,
your least
I
favorite.
just want more Rosso. If they
I
had a
know
centric
you
episode-
love Rosso.
You do too.
I do.
He's great. He's great. I love him. I would have more, but it was in 2 seconds. But some of their cuts are a bit iffy.
All right,
But
I agree.
the title,
Noshing and the Moshing.
noshing, is that the dummy going like this?
No, noshing is
Eating?
It's
the party?
It's a Jewish term mainly, Schreiber, for eating, snacking. Whenever I would go over to my Jewish friend's house when I was growing
Noshing.
up, the mom would always say, "Do you guys want something to nosh on?"
Okay, so yeah,
So they go to the
snacking.
party. Yes.
Okay, all right, especially with the Jewishness of,
Yes.
of Barry and him. Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right.
And
All
you'll
right.
note
All right.
the Jewish element of that family is a little bit more prevalent in this episode because the brother comes home and starts saying, some of the Yiddish
terms.
phrases, and Lindsay kind of picks them up to sort of impress him and whatever. So you can see why they might call it that.
No, yeah, it definitely works. It was part of that. I'm fine with that.
Right,
It was
okay.
just for some
And
reason
the moshing.
the moshing is
You get
clear.
that part.
Moshing was quite clear, and I like the moshing when that was a good line. That was a great scene as well.
okay.
When he gets kicked in the head or whatever the first time, goes in the bathroom. And the guy comes in.
I did like the bathroom scene
Oh
a
man,
lot.
aren't there so many poses here? Hey man, I'm not a poser. Well, I'm not
Like,
talking about you,
I'm not talking
man.
about
You're
you.
cool. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, somebody's pretty insecure, and that's interesting. He sold me. He looks like SLC Punk. He looks legit,
But he
is totally. It's totally
he really is a
fabrication,
poser, right?
just to get with
In
the
this
girl,
particular
which
element,
is
he is a poser.
Such a not just a teenage thing, but just such a thing to do to impress somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's a classic OC. Man, I love the sex.
That's right.
It's all comes. It's all.
It all comes back to Marissa Cooper and Mick G. The Mick G shared universe.
Oh man.
No, I think you're right though. That was a good scene because he really was. He was being a poser the whole time, and
that was interesting.
Love is messy, I say.
Love is messy could be the other title for the episode, and
yeah, I don't know that we need a rhyme every episode.
That's what I'm just saying. The noshing and moshing, the funness of the rhyme, kind of takes away a little bit from the seriousness of this episode. Because the early ones, like with the Halloween one, it was fine. But this episode,
right.
This episode, to be honest, wasn't really that fun. Exactly.
No, although the father of the Weir family was having a great old time,
and Bill dancing was fun.
Bill dancing was good.
I guess the dummy had some bits.
The dummy was okay.
Did you like the bully, the big guy, where he was like, wait a minute.
No.
He does a spitball.
Why is he bullying everybody? He bullies Lindsay. He bullies Neil.
Go pick on somebody your own size. There's a bus outside. Like the teacher said that one was a good one.
Good. That was funny.
One. That was a good line.
Yeah, that was funny.
By the way, why don't that guy is just, he is gonna kill somebody.
I know.
He's a big man.
He's very large.
Is he? And he's not 18. Right?
No.
He throws me off.
Well, Varsity Blues was 2 years before this.
Okay,
and he was...
Because remember that guy was, I think, in the pilot.
He was after 18 at that point.
But he's like a 40-year-old man.
He's in his 20s, certainly,
at
in
least.
Show.
I'm like, what is he doing here?
But look, he's got that sort of the tank body type. Football player build.
Which is fine. But seriously, he throws a spitball at Lindsay in detention, and he doesn't get 3 more detentions?
I know. Well, listen,
that guy,
clearly that teacher was
phoning it in.
Yes.
Well, you don't get to do homework the Thursday and Friday.
What a jerk.
He wasn't good.
Least favorite
of the teachers thus far.
Yeah.
I did like the guy.
He stinks.
I did like the guy who I think it was the science teacher who's like, "Did you give your essay?" "Oh no, I didn't." And Neil was giving him a check, and he's like, "Oh,
that was good. That was a funny scene.
Just go to the principal." "Oh yeah, I love talking to him."
"Oh, my buddy, he owes me money." That was a funny scene.
That was funny. I liked that the teacher was over it.
Although, it's a funny scene, but it's
Neil's
also...
a jerk.
Well, no, not that Neil's a jerk, but you just feel bad for him. Because
defense mechanism.
you know why he's lashing out. And so even though it's sort of funny in the moment, it is sort of sad at the same time.
It is good. No, it's...
So let me tell you about Franco a little bit.
Tell me about James.
So the commentary was Apatow and Franco.
Okay.
And I think it might be the first commentary Franco did.
Oh, wow.
So by the time they did the commentary, he was, big star.
Mm-hmm.
Probably maybe 08, 09, somewhere in there.
Pineapple Express.
Yeah, Pineapple Express era. He was obviously an established star.
Spider-Man.
So Apatow, it was almost like an interview.
Oh, really?
Because he was asking him about, how do you pick your projects, and da-da-da. But here's something that's very interesting. So, and this is telling of Franco that we know now.
Mm-hmm.
Apatow said that one of the things that really impressed him... Well, first of all, Apatow said one of the blessings of having this show only last one season is that he was really, really anticipating that he was going to have to fight with Franco's agent to keep him on the show.
Oh, really?
Because at this point, he was already starting to get a lot of...
More traction.
A lot of scripts coming his way. And Franco says in the commentary, at the time I was really angry because I had to turn down 3 or 4 movie projects that I really kind of wanted to do, but I couldn't because I was committed to this show. And he was like, and it turns out I'm actually really glad for that because none of them turned out to be anything I would have wanted to be associated with.
Oh.
And he didn't say they were big movies or anything. They either, probably didn't get off the ground at all, or it would have been a waste of time, or whatever.
It worked out for him.
But it worked out for him, and he was very happy about that. But Apatow was like, it was very interesting to me because, a lot of the people on this set, this was their first job. We've talked about that. But Franco actually went to Apatow and Feig and said, look, I would really like to shadow some of the producers and directors on this show to see what they do. And so one of the episodes that he was not really in very much, he got to basically that whole week, he got to learn from the director and kind of follow them around, look at the shots, look at the dailies.
They're It's interesting you say that because you familiar with the Actors Roundtable?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched one of those once, and James Franco was on it, and I think one of the last questions they always asked was like, if you couldn't be an actor, what would you do?
Yeah.
He's like, I'd be a director. Like, because Franco really loves just the whole movie making process.
He really does, and apparently that started way back when.
Huh.
And
it's interesting too because it's really interesting.
And what a show to start it on too.
It's like he says, "Oh man, I wanted to move on at the time," but this is kind of the show that sort of made him.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Well, and he wasn't necessarily saying like he wanted to move on. He just
wish
he wished he could have done it all, which of course later,
like a Kim Kelly,
she was bouncing around. But as we learned later on, like he ended up doing. Like
so much.
8 things at a time. Like he was enrolled in school, he was on a soap opera for a few episodes, he was directing a movie, he was in a couple movies. Like he really was one of those people that did 5, 6, 7 things at once.
Sure.
And yeah, Apatow was noticing that early on. He was like nobody else on the show seemed interested at all in the process. Yeah.
They just wanted to act, and that was it.
They just wanted to act, and the end. But yeah, he obviously early on had his eyes set on all of that. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
That they talked about that.
Insight.
And one of the reasons that he's not on Undeclared when Rogan and Siegel both were. Because he was already doing other stuff. Yeah, very early on.
Cool.
So that's really all I got, I think, from that. So let's talk about our feelings about the episode. A grade.
I guess I really liked it.
I think this is maybe not top of the tier.
No.
But for me, this is like an A- type of episode.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think, like you said, there's a couple of the most emotional scenes we've gotten from this show so far.
Yeah, I want to say, but I said, I guess much with the theme that love is messy. I feel like the episode is a little. It kind of juggles a lot.
Yes,
and you can tell it's juggling a lot. But it does it well.
And it's bold to not have it center around
those weirs.
That's the stars of the show, which we've seen in other shows where they sort of drift off, but
which is fine. No, I really liked it. I thought it was very good. I'm just trying to think about what's sort of setting it apart. Maybe just like you said, tackling the love is messy thing is pretty safe.
It's safe. They of course are doing it in different ways. Than many shows, but. I think there's also sort of a cringiness to this episode with the dummy bit, and also the Daniel being a poser bit. There's a little bit of uncomfortability, I think, watching this episode.
But I think they're supposed to be. I don't know. If
that's it's on purpose. It's definitely on purpose.
It's not really a negative, but I can understand this. Like, isn't like a. Ooh, feel good.
Well, but like you said, it's not one of the funnier episodes.
But it's like honestly the couple of the episodes were very the Kim Kelly one's a very dramatic one.
Very dramatic.
So there've been a couple. The other one with Neil was pretty dramatic. The last Bill, I don't know. I guess when we're looking for Freaks and Geeks, we try to find that balance.
Yeah.
Usually, though I don't know. That's not really necessarily. Look. This episode is very good.
Very good.
I think it's juggling a lot. I do think it... I feel like Okay, I'll tell you what it is. Even in the episodes where usually it's centered around somebody, everybody gets their due. And I feel like Sam doesn't really matter.
Sam doesn't matter at all in this episode.
Bill barely matters.
Yeah.
Ken and Nick
and they don't really matter either.
They're very ancillary. Like, most of the cast is pushed aside.
Franco could have gone to the club without them.
Yeah.
And the exact same stuff would have happened.
Like, 4 of the characters in the show don't affect anything.
Maybe it's even lower than an A- then.
I was thinking but I think, like I said, the emotional scenes, the stuff they're handling, it is very good.
It is.
But I think it's just missing some of the core elements.
Good Krumholtz.
Good Krumholtz. I liked the music bit. I liked the punk girl, by the way. I thought she was pretty cool.
You know what's interesting?
I liked her.
I looked her up. She's only done like 3 things. Ever.
I liked her.
I was like, she kind of maybe looks familiar.
She looks vaguely familiar, like kind of.
But no, nothing. She did a couple of things around this time period and then got out of the biz, I guess.
But yeah, I liked her.
But I thought she did a great job.
I thought she sold it very well. I don't know. I don't know. I liked her.
Apatow can pick out some young talent.
I thought she was great. I was like, she sold it.
Yeah.
And the thing I liked about her performance was, I thought she could be like a stereotypical punk or putting on this like facade, but no, she really is just a kid into the scene.
Yeah, that was her way.
She talked to him like a person. You know how like in movies now they'd be really like quirky or monotone or standoffish.
Yeah.
Like, no, she could tell he was like flirting and was whatever. Like it seemed very, once again, believable.
Very believable.
And I really liked the punk. Once again, like everything else, sticking to the aesthetic of the time, very true to it, and bold
really
for this show. For
yes,
punk. I think A- is fine. I'm just trying to figure out like why it's not up on like.
Well,
I think it's because people are missing.
People are missing, and even a lot of our favorite side characters that at least usually make an appearance aren't in this at all. Millie's not in this. Gordon's not in this. The shaved head bully is not in this. So we were introduced to other side characters. It's more about Neil's parents, Neil's brother, this punk girl,
and that's why
Kim Kelly's even barely in it.
She's like 2 scenes.
She obviously has plot, unlike Ken and
she does a lot with
Nick. But
just
I do wish they left the Lady A or the Lady L comment in.
So great, like Lady L.
But you know why maybe they took that line out?
Why?
Because Daniel wasn't there for that song. He probably wouldn't really even know that.
Well, no, Kim would have told
think of it.
Kim would have told him about it. Maybe?
No, because he never played it. Ken.
Maybe Ken would have mentioned that. You hear that?
Maybe. Maybe.
No, he's probably making sure that's never heard by anyone.
Yeah, I think he wants to keep that under wraps.
Remember when he saved his life by destroying the
He literally, that was great from last episode. I don't know. I mean, I would be okay with a B+ on this.
I feel bad because
let's B+ it.
All right, B+ is why the grade that came to my head.
Yeah,
I felt like I was being too hard.
I'm okay with that.
Well, it's teetering.
Think about it. This is not one of the more memorable episodes for me.
True.
I know like I said, I've seen the first half of the series way more than the second half. But of all the episodes that come up, this is not usually. I think more about the Daniel punk part because it's so different. We learn a lot about the character than about the Neil dummy bit.
You know what? This episode,
but it is good.
This episode is good, but it is really a second part of a 2-part story.
Yeah.
So you kind of need those two.
Let's call it a B+.
B+. All
right.
B+.
Very good. All right. That's it for Freaks and Geeks Friday. A few more. We're going to try and do one a week till the end of the year, and then we'll wrap up before New Year's, which would be nice.
Our new show.
And then in January or February, whenever we decide to start it, we'll do our new show. Which I guess should we just announce it already? Let's announce it.
You did your one subscriber.
Yes, Nyan really was trying to figure it out. So we decided. So we went through originally on your channel. We did Sopranos.
Yes.
Which is one that you loved. I had never seen.
True.
Then we did Frasier. We both love it.
We've both seen it.
And then Freaks and Geeks. I love it. You had never seen it. So next we decided. Do something that neither of us have seen, but have been interested in. You've seen like an episode
recently,
and I think it might be up on one of the streamers. So unlike Freaks and Geeks, people can actually watch this with us.
Which is cool.
But we decided to tackle another NBC. It's all NBC. Frasier, Freaks and Geeks, all NBC.
The network.
Another show that did not last too long, but be loved by the critics for the most part. Maybe not as much as Freaks and Geeks, but we're going to tackle Hannibal.
Yeah.
3 seasons, I think. I think one of them was like half a season. I think there's probably only, 35 or 40 episodes of this show.
Yeah.
But it's one that we love the Silence of the Lambs movie. It's one of our favorite movies, I think.
Yeah.
And so the Hannibal character speaks to us. So that's going to be the show coming in 2021 for us.
Love That Lecture.
Love That Lecture, it's going to be called. So we won't necessarily maybe put it up every Friday like Freaks and Geeks and Frasier, but Love That Lecture can be put on anytime. But maybe we'll try to stick to Friday. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll probably cheat and do some other things.
Yes.
Makes it
But all right, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye.